The night was already overflowing with unforgettable moments, explosive performances, breathtaking vocals, and a sea of army lights that turned the entire stadium into a living galaxy. The ARIRANG World Tour had reached a level of intensity that felt almost impossible to top. Fans were still talking about the powerful dance, the insane high notes, and the emotional interactions that had defined the concert so far. But then, something unexpected happened, something quieter, something deeply personal, and in many ways, something even more powerful than anything that had taken place on stage. It didn't begin with music. It didn't begin with lights. It began with a camera. Somewhere in the upper section of the stadium, a fan's lens wandered across the crowd, capturing faces, reactions, small moments that often go unnoticed during massive concerts. It was nothing unusual. This is what fans do. They record everything, hoping to catch something special. And then, they did at first. It didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary. A woman stood near the railing, wearing a simple outfit, her presence calm and understated. She wasn't screaming like the others. She wasn't waving a lightstick or jumping to the beat. She was simply watching, but something about her felt different. Fans began to look closer. The videos zoomed in slightly. Comments started appearing. Speculation began almost instantly. Wait, who is that? Why does she look familiar? Is that? Within minutes, the clip started spreading. Shared across platforms, reposted by fan accounts, analyzed frame by frame. The woman's appearance, her posture, her quiet demeanor, the way she observed the stage, sparked something in the fandom. And then came the whispers. Could it be? Could that be the mother of Jeon Jungkook? The idea alone was enough to send shockwaves through ARMY. Because if it was true, it meant something extraordinary. It meant that, somewhere in that massive stadium filled with tens of thousands of fans, the person who had known Jungkook the longest, who had seen him grow from a child with a dream into a global superstar, was there, watching him perform. Not as an idol, not as a celebrity, but as her son. The speculation grew. More videos surfaced. Different angles. Different moments. The same woman, standing quietly, occasionally turning her head, her eyes always directed toward the stage. She wasn't reacting like a fan. She was observing like a mother. And that difference was everything. Fans began connecting the dots. Old memories resurfaced. Stories Jungkook had shared in the past. Glimpses of his family life. The rare and precious moments when he spoke about his parents. He had always been private, always protective of his family, which made this moment feel even more significant. Because if this really was his mother, then her presence here wasn't just rare. It was meaningful. Deeply meaningful. As the concert continued, the energy inside the stadium remained electric, but now there was something else layered beneath it. A quiet emotional undercurrent that only some fans were aware of. Because while Jungkook stood on stage, delivering performance after performance, pouring everything into his art, somewhere in the crowd, his mother was watching every move, every note, every step, every moment. And suddenly, everything felt different. The powerful dance from earlier? It wasn't just impressive anymore. It was something she was witnessing live. The insane high note that shook the stadium? It wasn't just a viral moment. It was something she heard with her own ears, in real time. Every smile, every breath, every glance. It all carried a new weight. Because now, it wasn't just a performance for fans. It was a performance in front of family. As clips continued to spread online, reactions began pouring in from fans around the world. Imagine how proud she must be. This is making me emotional. She's watching her son shine in front of the world. The narrative shifted. What had started as speculation quickly became something more. A shared emotional experience that connected fans not just to Jungkook as an artist, but to Jungkook as a person. As someone's child. As someone's pride. As someone's dream come true. And then came one particular moment that fans couldn't stop talking about. During one of the more emotional segments of the concert, Jungkook stood at the center of the stage, speaking to the audience. His voice was soft, sincere, filled with gratitude. He talked about the journey, about the support, about the love he receives from ARMY. But there was something in his tone that felt different, something deeper. Some fans began to wonder, did he know? Did he know she was there? There was no confirmation no direct mention. But sometimes, you don't need words. Sometimes, you can feel it. The way he paused slightly between sentences, the way his eyes scanned the crowd. The way his voice carried just a little more emotion than usual. It was subtle, but it was there. And for fans who believed the theory, it made the moment even more powerful, because it created a silent connection, that a moment shared between a son on stage and a mother in the crowd, unspoken, unseen, but deeply felt. That as the concert reached its final stages, the energy returned to its explosive peak. Fireworks lit up the sky. Music thundered through the stadium. The members of BTS stood together, taking in the moment, waving to fans, expressing their gratitude. And somewhere in the stands, that woman remained watching, quiet, present, if holding on to every second. Because moments like this don't come often. Moments where you see the result of years of sacrifice, hard work, and unwavering belief. Moments where you watch your child stand in front of the world and shine. As the final song ended and the lights slowly began to fade, fans held on to everything they had experienced that night. The chaos, the excitement, the unforgettable performances. But for many, it was this quiet, unexpected story that stayed with them the most. Because beyond the stage, beyond the fame, beyond the global success, there was something simple, something human. A mother watching her son, and in that moment, the massive stadium, the roaring crowd, the global spotlight, it all felt a little smaller. Because the story wasn't just about a superstar. It was about where he came from, and who was there to witness how far he had come. And maybe that's why this moment resonated so deeply. Because no matter how big the stage becomes, some connections remain the same, unbreakable, silent, and full of love. And even after the final fireworks faded into the night sky, the story didn't end there. In fact, for many fans, it was only just beginning. As people slowly made their way out of the stadium, voices still hoarse, hearts still racing, the clips continued to circulate online at an unbelievable speed. What started as a simple fan recording had now turned into a global discussion. Every second of the footage was being analyzed, zoomed in, slowed down, compared. Was it really her? The woman standing quietly in the stands, wearing a simple outfit, observing more than reacting. She had become one of the most talked about figures of the entire night. And the more fans watched, the more convinced many became. She looks just like him. The eyes, the expression, it's so similar. That calm presence. It makes sense. Speculation turned into belief for a large portion of the fandom. Not because of official confirmation, there wasn't any, but because of something deeper. Something intuitive. It felt right. And sometimes, in moments like these, that feeling is enough. Meanwhile, back inside the venue, a few fans who had been seated near that section began sharing their experiences. They described how the woman stayed composed throughout the concert, how she focused intently on the stage, how she didn't react with the same intensity as the surrounding crowd. One fan wrote. Everyone around her was screaming, but she was just watching quietly, like she didn't want to miss a single detail. Another added. She smiled during certain parts, especially when Jungkook was singing. It wasn't like a fan smile. It felt different, warmer. These small details only fueled the emotional impact of the story, because they painted a picture, not of a celebrity, not of a viral moment, but of something deeply human. A parent watching their child succeed. As discussions grew, older interviews and memories resurfaced once again. Fans remembered how Jeon Jungkook had spoken about his family in the past, how much their support meant to him, how their belief had shaped his journey, how he carried that with him even on the biggest stages in the world. And suddenly, everything connected.